Welcome to Radical Underdogs. It's been a while, but we're back at Snetterton for some racing action. I was flying solo for this evening track day, and I did only have a couple of hours testing, budget restrictions. There was a lot of hard work involved. Unfortunately, we did encounter a few hiccups, not all captured on camera, unfortunately, with the car repeatedly cutting out. After some detective work, we did trace that to a loose main relay, and that was sort of working its way loose as a result of the bumpy track. And to add to the excitement and the heat of the moment, I completely forgot the bonnet pins. As a result, the bonnet decided to go airborne, smash into the windscreen, and that's yet another dent in the car. Fear not, we're not alone in this racing challenge. There's massive help to the people who helped out,
Cheers,
not known before this track day, but he's sort of in the garage next to us. You can see them here pushing the car back into the garage. So join us for the race. It will be a good one, just coming up right now. And we're on the grid for this BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Clubman Championship. The lights are about to go on. They're on now, and they are off. The track is greasy, but getting a good getaway anyway. So the rain is falling, but the track is more or less dry. That's Hayden McDonald alongside us in car number 101. That has gone past us already. We're making our way back down the inside though. And back where we started in position 17, that's already 2 positions. We've got 3 cars behind us. There's a car up on the grass behind us. We've got Christopher Dan in car number 20 on the inside as we head down to Montreal for the first time. Caught out by the Constantina braking ahead. Christopher Dan actually hits us in the back. We go a bit wide and Christopher Dan takes the place. Behind us, cars fighting side by side, and there's a car on the grass as well. So again, 1 place down, 1 place up. It's back to almost where we started. I think we are now position 18, so one down. We've got cars side by side as we go through Palmer. Not normally the place to pass, but on the first lap anything goes. And that's car number 17 up ahead. That's Pete Smith, and we're down on the outside on this first lap. Had to brake a little bit earlier if you go on the inside. We haven't really followed the racing line. We've left a lot of room on the inside, so we haven't really capitalised on taking the racing line on the braking line there. Cars up ahead, still Pete's showing he's willing to go defensive, but not actually going defensive this time. Again, car's going to be Constantinaing up as we go through the slower corners now. That was through Hamilton down into Oggies. His car's locking up ahead, and a car, I think that's Michael Pearce in car number 70. And the cars behind us all kicking off behind as we go down into Williams for the first time. In all that melee, we're up to position 16. And we do have car number 70 behind us. That is Michael Pearce. Up ahead, we've got Christopher Dan, who you saw got past us earlier. To screw in the gear stick there, that is one of those things that just comes loose on this car every now and again. Nothing safety critical. Cars fighting up ahead, bouncing off the limiter in 4th. As we go into the complex of Brundle Nelson for the first time. Losing a bit of time, maybe a bit conservative through there. Not really 100% confident of what grip level is going to be around the circuit. You see the rain is still falling, but going through Bomb Hole, definitely a better run through Bomb Hole. Almost got a run on Christopher Dan here. He does manage to cover off any sort of move going on the inside there as we go down into the last corner, which is Murray's, and down onto the centre straight after that. Not really finding a way there. Michael Pearce braking much later. We're going down into second gear. Don't normally go into second here. And messing up the gear change. Michael Pearce doesn't quite see us messing up the gear change. You can see a replay of that as we miss the gear change. Bit of a hit. No damage to either car though. Just one of those things when you're following each other extremely closely in racing. Actually, that does help us because it boosts us down the straight when otherwise we probably would have been under a lot of pressure. We are still under pressure anyway because Michael's managed to get a slipstream. We have left room on the inside, but this is a fast right-hander, double apex, and we're going to take the second apex. I think it's probably actually a faster way round. Michael didn't make his way through on the inside there. We don't have to go defensive now into Montreal. Got a bit of space behind us, which means hopefully we can get a good run out of here. It is important. You can see Michael using all the road a little bit more, managing to get right up behind us. Again, this isn't really a decent passing place. I'm leaving him room on the inside. Don't really want to get spun out here. I think he was well behind us anyway at that point. But it does mean actually Jack Worry is recovering. You saw him on the inside spinning out on lap 1. He's going to probably follow his way through. We've outbraked ourselves in trying to fight Michael Pearce there on the brakes and go all the way around the outside, and that's let Jack Worry through. And he was always going to find his way through anyway. He started right up at the front, so actually losing minimal time past letting Jack pass was probably the smart strategic thing to do there. Actually, Jack out brakes himself into Richie's, or gets on the power a little bit too early, or whatever it is. He's squirrely on the power, which means we actually go round again on the inside. Don't really want to lose too much time here fighting Jack, because he's going to make his way through at some point. He's probably going to make his way through right here, actually, on the straight. He's going to get a good slipstream as we go down one of the longest straights in UK Club Motorsport, down the Bentley Straight, which ends in the Brundle-Nelson complex. And you can see there just under the bridge, bouncing off the limiter again in fourth, down into third gear. Jack Warrior is through, unsurprisingly. We're going to try and follow him, I think, because actually he has obviously got a much faster both driver and car. So we're going to try and follow as much as possible so we can hopefully learn a few lines and get a bit faster as we go through this race. Coming up on the last corner now, a difficult kind of corner which leads directly into the 90-degree left-hander at Murray's. So it is always tricky getting on the brakes here. And for a Mazda MX-5, it's sort of right in the gap between second and third gear. Well, the speeds I go around anyway, so I tend to leave it in third because you can see the issue. Anyway, up ahead, got cars fighting down into that classic overtaking Montreal. Got cars locking up at Christopher Dan. And car number 24 there. Car number 24 is Simon Waterfall in the close racing car. And they're now side by side, rubbing wheels of it as we go down, banging doors as we go down into, again, not really overtaking block, but people going side by side quite a lot in this race through Palmer. We're going to go right up behind Simon because he's obviously been losing, fighting for that position there. We're going to go down on the inside, we're going to go side by side down to the other overtaking position on this track, Agostini. So we're side by side as we go through Agostini. More or less braking at the same point. We're still side by side. Simon doing what we couldn't do earlier and sticking it all the way around the outside. And actually, you're going to have to slot back in. As you can see, right behind us, Jordan Head trying to make his way through as well. We are covering off that position against slightly defensive, keeping an eye on the mirrors as well as up on what's going up ahead. That's the thing about Mazda MX-5 racing. Yeah, you can find your way, suddenly making your way up a couple of positions, but you can quite easily find yourself losing a couple of positions as well. It's very much win some, you lose some on some of these tracks. But as we go through the Bentley Straight, we've got quite a good run. I think we're a little bit far back for the toe. Jordan Head getting a bit of a toe off us. It's a little bit of cat and mouse going on here. We are catching Simon, actually. Probably not enough by the time we get to the bridge and by the time we get to the braking point at Brundle-Nelson. Braking a little bit earlier just because the rain is coming down. It is making it a bit slipperier. We've done our fastest lap of the race on a 2:26. The track was more or less dry, but it is getting greasier and greasier. Every lap you do, it's a little voyage of discovery as you find the new braking points. You can see right behind us Jordan Head trying to make his way on the inside through this, again, tricky section of track. Coram going into Murray's. He's got the outside line. He's very squirrely on the brakes. There's no way round on the outside at that point, so by covering off that sort of middle of the track there, that was always going to be difficult to pass. Skipping ahead a few laps again, coming to go defensive. Cars up ahead. I think the braking point is very difficult to sort out here. Christopher Dan going wide, letting cars through. Simon Waterfall or through on the inside. Not quite wide enough to let us through as well, but we are going to be following very closely now. You can see behind us actually Jordan Head's coming under pressure, which means we're free to fight up ahead without worrying about losing the position from behind. You can see we're still in the position where we started, believe it or not. I think there's been sort of half a dozen changes of position, but we are still where we started. Going down into Agostini, we're way too far back to make a move here. The important thing is to try and get closer to Christopher Dan here. As you can see, we've got a much better exit. Unfortunately, Hamilton is only if you're really alongside is that a place to pass. So not, again, way too far back. Chris keeps getting a bit squirrely on the exit, and I think it is difficult to find grip around here, especially as the track is getting greasier and greasier. You'll see in race 2 it gets very wet indeed. Now going onto the main straight. Again, it's one of these straights where picking up the slipstream is important. This exit is absolutely critical. I think haven't quite used enough of the circuit, and you can see Christopher Dan getting away ahead of us. Jordan Head behind us picking up the slipstream. You can see Hayden McDonald and car 101 wanting to get involved as well. There's both cars, they're passing each other down the main straight, but I think Hayden might want to get two cars in one go here. He's down on the inside, we're side by side, and I've got the inside line for the next section of corner, which is Nelson, and running out wide, there is no way through for Hayden there. but good move by Hayden. He's got his way past Jordan Head on that main straight, so we've now got a different car behind us. You can see the cars up ahead fighting as well, so we're coming on to the last lap. Believe it or not, we're on lap 5 now, going on to lap 6 in this 15-minute race. So it is going to be important. You know, you can see Jordan Head diving down the inside at the last minute, making his way through. And meanwhile, getting very sideways on the exit as the power went down. You can see that it's very difficult conditions with this sort of tricky changing lap by lap, and that was a very late braking, making going down onto the inside at Murray's. So you've got Jordan Head again behind us, and we're right behind us as we go into the first corner, Ritchie's. On this Snetterton 300 circuit, we've gone a bit wide. That's allowed Jordan Head to go at the inside. It's going to be a perfect line for passing down at Montreal. He's very much side by side now. Can't cut him off and go defensive, but we're all going. You can see up ahead, cars really struggling with the brakes. I was struggling with the brakes, locking brakes as the circuit conditions deteriorates lap by lap. Jordan Head manages to get the car stopped and turned in, and manages to make his way past into position 17. But you can see on the exit, the car is difficult to get the power down. The rain is falling heavier and heavier. It's still more or less dry, but it is just getting greasier and greasier. It's difficult to know where to brake. Going into Agostini again, you can see Christopher Dan running wide. Jordan Head probably sees an opportunity as we run through Hamilton. He's going to get very close and moving the mirror around, but don't worry, you still get the look behind you. On the exit, the car's coming together. Christopher Dan, Jordan Head, touch. That is out wide, but Jordan Head, he spins around, and that's his race with us done, because there's only half a lap remaining. Hayden McDonald is going to keen to get this position on the very last section of track. You can see Christopher Dan getting squirrely on the exit. It does mean he'll be vulnerable down the straight, but we're more vulnerable now. Hayden's definitely picked up the slipstream. We've gone defensive down this straight. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside, but not a problem. Hayden makes his way through, and we're back down to position 18 as we go into the last section of corners, so down one position from where we started. Now as the rain is properly coming down, it is going to start changing the characteristics of the track even more as we go into the last section of corners. Hayden McDonald really finding a rhythm through these greasy corners. Onto the last section of corners, there's no cars behind me, a couple of cars up ahead that are way too far to pass, so it's just a question of getting it through the last corner. But up ahead, it looks like there has been an accident. There's a couple of cars actually on the grass. It looks like Kev Bird and Matthew Fletcher have come together. Matthew Fletcher facing the right direction, manages to get out back on the circuit, but we've passed Kev Bird, so that's another position. We're back to where we started at position 17. Matthew Fletcher obviously didn't get off, starting from a standing start on the grass, so the car's still trying to get past him on the line. We're not going to get there in time. That is the end of the race at position 17. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.